A show of strength by a new militia in Gaza, challenging Hamas, apparently backed by Israel, and emerging from a murky past. Its leader, Yasser Abu Shabab, is an alleged former drug trafficker. Now he and up to 300 men are openly working with the new, much criticised aid distribution scheme backed by Israel and the US, helping, his media team say, load supplies and secure their entry to Gaza. But in the past, he's been accused of looting vast quantities of desperately needed aid. Nahid Shuhaibar is the head of the Trucking Association in Gaza. His vehicles have been repeatedly targeted by looters.
You might have only just seen him in the news, but we've known about Abu Shabab for a long time. Lots of our drivers have been stopped by his gang. If the driver tries to escape, they shoot at his tires or at him, or they beat him. He once took 100 trucks in a single day. All our drivers have encountered him.
We've seen an internal UN document from late last year that describes Abu Shabab as a criminal, a gang leader, and a primary figure in the systematic looting of humanitarian aid. And it says his base is in an area controlled by the Israeli military. This area is all part of Israel's self-declared military buffer zone in Gaza. No Palestinians are allowed to enter. But as alleged head of a looting gang, Abu Shabab was said to be based here by the Rafah crossing. Now his men are escorting aid trucks entering Gaza from Kerem Shalom and heading to the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation sites in southern Gaza. In this video, Abu Shabab's group, calling itself the Popular Forces, show themselves erecting tents they claim displaced residents of eastern Rafah can now return home to, despite the area being within the Israeli military zone. Last week, the Israeli Prime Minister appeared to confirm supporting figures like Abu Shabab in order to undermine Hamas.
On the advice of security officials, we activated clans in Gaza that oppose Hamas. What's wrong with this? It's only good and saves the lives of IDF soldiers.
Today, at a Gaza Humanitarian Foundation distribution site, an eyewitness said Abu Shabab and his men were guarding the area. After several Palestinians waiting to receive food were shot and killed, the group issued a statement denying it had been present. Up until recently, it was the UN that was bringing in most humanitarian aid to Gaza. Sam Rose played a key role in overseeing it. What do you make of the fact that this man, Abu Shabab, alleged to have been a leading figure in the looting of aid, is now being given a role supposedly securing it?
Oh, there's a total irony that the one entity that we know and is on the record for having been involved in looting is now the entity that's been put in charge of managing the security around the looting. But look, this is part of a much bigger irony in that the entity, in this case the government of Israel, that's been responsible for blocking the supplies of aid coming into Gaza is now the entity that is supposed to be the one to guarantee that supply.
Last month, Hamas released footage of the group targeting Abu Shabab's men. They insist they're helping protect local residents and deny collaborating with Israeli forces, but that doesn't seem possible. Israel has long sought to play Palestinian factions off against each other, with bloody consequences. Another dark chapter now looks to be unfolding.
Israeli forces and local gunmen who appear to be working with them have again opened fire on Palestinians heading to a US-backed food distribution centre. The Gaza Health Ministry and hospitals said 14 people were killed. Early this morning, Israel intercepted a boat of campaigners carrying aid trying to reach Gaza to break the sea blockade. On board were Greta Thunberg and 11 other activists who were all detained and taken to Israel. Let's go live to Paul McNamara in Jerusalem. Paul.
Yeah, the talk here tonight isn't any possibility of any calming intentions. It's the possibility of yet another escalation. We understand that right now, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is meeting with security officials discussing Iran. This afternoon, he spoke with President Trump, who is trying to convince Iran from pursuing a nuclear program. But if those talks are ultimately unsuccessful, Israel may well play a role in the what next. The developments today, though, have been in Gaza, and a warning: our report contains distressing images right from the start.
Forced to grow up too fast, only to die at 17. Queuing to get flour and maybe a little hope for his desperate family. Now one of the latest victims to lose their lives at an aid station.
My nephew has become a martyr. What will his mother receive? Did I bring you flour or did I bring you a martyr? What should we do? We've had enough.
14 people are reported to have died at the incident near the southern city of Rafah this morning. Palestinian eyewitnesses say Israeli forces and allied local gunmen fired toward a crowd. Accounts we cannot verify, as Israel has not allowed independent access for international journalists into Gaza.
Shooting and death. If you don't drop to the ground, you die. Everyone dies. There are people who received aid and people who didn't.
Why do these incidents keep happening?
Most unfortunate, and this is something that should not happen. You have to know that those places, I mean, those platforms where you distribute all the humanitarian aid has been done by Israel, 4 of them. I mean, we have done them. Israeli soldiers, while they're fighting terrorists, they're protecting humanitarian aid given, by the way, by Israel.
But are you concerned that you have a very highly trained, very highly armed military that's there, and yet it's still civilians that are getting caught in the crossfire here?
This is why wars should be prevented. This is why on the 7th of October, it's not Israel that went to war against Gaza, it's Gaza who came to Israel.
On the Gazan ground yesterday, for a rarity in this war, a small select group of media was allowed to join Israeli forces inside Gaza for a small select period of time. The occasion? In the tunnels beneath the European hospital in the southern city of Khan Yunis, the Israeli military has said it located and identified the body of Mohammed Sinwar, the military leader of Hamas.
Yet this is another example of the cynical use of Hamas, using civilians as human shields, using civilian infrastructure, hospitals, again and again. We find those infrastructure. We would prefer not to be here today. I would prefer not to, the IDF would prefer not to hit or target hospitals. We didn't target hospital. It is a big achievement for us, hitting in the outskirts of the hospital and around it without damaging the hospital.
It's not just aid trucks trying to reach those in need. 12 activists, including the Swedish climate campaigner Greta Thunberg, were intercepted on board a boat by Israeli forces this morning. The Freedom Flotilla Coalition campaign group say they wanted to deliver aid and raise awareness. Israel say they were more concerned about Instagramming selfies. In the city of Jabalia, though, there's no thought of what aid can get in, only how they can get out. This afternoon, they were hit with evacuation orders by the Israeli military. Yet more people tonight not knowing when they'll return home, or if there'll even be homes to return to.